The RTX 4090 is the new top-of-the-line graphics card that NVIDIA has to offer right now. It is based on the Ada Lovelace architecture and comes with 16,384 CUDA cores, 24GB of GDDR6X memory, 3rd-generation DLSS, and 4th-generation Tensor cores. Hi, I'm Becky from Respawn First, and in this video I go over some of the best RTX 4090 graphics cards that you can buy right now. Before getting into the video, it is worth mentioning that the RTX 4090 graphics cards are high in demand right now and might not be available at the time of viewing. NVIDIA has decided to prioritize H100AI GPUs over RTX 4090s, which is one of the many reasons why these cards are hard to get your hands on. Due to the shortage, pricing is also going to be inflated. With that out of the way, let's take a look at some of the best RTX 4090 graphics cards. The links to these cards are in the description below. The MSI RTX 4090 Supreme Liquid X. The MSI RTX 4090 Supreme Liquid X is one of the few AI liquid-cooled RTX 4090 graphics cards that you can buy right now. The RTX 4090 is not a cheap graphics card, but if you can pick up the Supreme Liquid X for around $1,600, then I think that it is pretty good value for what you are getting. Custom water cooling in RTX 4090 is going to cost you much more when you account for tubing, water block, fittings, and the coolant. With that in mind, the RTX 4090 Supreme Liquid X is a great option. The card has a premium design with a single fan on the shroud and 2 on the radiator. The aesthetics are very clean and the build quality is very good. There is minimal RGB on the card, and the cable that runs from the radiator fans to the card is hidden. The card is pretty compact and only takes up 2 slots as compared to 3 or 3.5. In terms of performance, the card runs at 30 MHz higher as compared to the Founders Edition model, but since this is liquid-cooled and has more thermal headroom, you can overclock it to get even more performance out of it. The downside to the AI liquid cooler is that there are more moving parts that can fail. You also need to have space in your case to install the radiator. Asus ROG Strix RTX 4090 OC Edition. The Asus ROG Strix RTX 4090 OC Edition is the largest variant that we have seen so far and is even bigger than the Founders Edition model. It is almost 37 cm long. So do keep that in mind if you are using a smaller case and GPU compatibility is a concern. Asus has used a new design this time around and the build quality is very impressive, as you would expect from a premium graphics card. It has a triple fan cooler with plenty of RGB lighting and a perforated backplate. The card has a massive heatsink and a vapor chamber for cooling. The graphics card does have red and blue accents, which I personally like, but I will admit that matching other components with the graphics card is going to be tricky. The card has a pair of fan headers that you can connect case fans to so that they ramp up or down depending on the graphics card temperature and not the CPU temperature. The graphics card has a BIOS switch that allows you to switch between performance mode and quiet mode. The card is very silent and on par with the MSI Supreme Liquid X and operates silently as compared to the Founders Edition model. While the thermals are not as impressive as the Liquid X, they are better than the Founders Edition. The Strix Edition also comes with an additional HDMI port, which other variants lack. The downside is that this is a massive card and you will need to pay a premium in order to get it. Asus STUF RTX 4090 OC Edition. The Asus STUF RTX 4090 OC Edition is a great option if you are not interested in paying a high premium for a custom RTX 4090 graphics card. The shroud is made of aluminium, which gives it a great feel, and the graphics card is built well. There is minimal use of plastic despite the lower price tag compared to some other models. The card has a stealthy design and color scheme, so it should blend in well with the rest of your build. This is still a chunky and long graphics card, so do check compatibility with your case. Asus has included a support pillar that doubles as a screwdriver. The graphics card has a triple fan cooler, and the middle fan spins in the opposite direction compared to the ones on the sides in order to increase airflow. While the marketed boost clock speed is 2,595 MHz, you can overclock the graphics card to 2,985 MHz to get some more performance out of it. This is going to depend on the quality of the silicon and will differ from card to card. Similar to the Strix variant, this one also has an additional HDMI port. All things considered, the Asus STUF RTX 4090 OC Edition is built well and performs as it should. The only downside is the size of the card. Gigabyte RTX 4090 Gaming OC. The Gigabyte RTX 4090 Gaming OC is another beefy graphics card that takes up 4 slots, but it does come with an anti-sag bracket to provide additional support to the card. The shroud is made of plastic, so the feel and finish are not as premium as the tough for the Strix variants. There is RGB lighting around the fan which can be customized, and Gigabyte does have some cool lighting presets that you can check out. Gigabyte recommends using a 1000 watts PSU with the RTX 4090 Gaming OC, which is 150 watts more than the Founders Edition variant. The graphics card has a BIOS switch that allows you to switch between performance and quiet modes. While the marketed clock speed is 2535 MHz, you will see around 2730 MHz in-game and 2940 MHz when overclocked. So you can expect to get some additional performance out of the box if you overclock the graphics card. Zotac RTX 4090 Trinity. The Zotac RTX 4090 Trinity comes with curves compared to other graphics cards that have a rather industrial design. The card is pretty long and thick with a massive heatsink that has 9 heat pipes. It has a triple fan cooler, but the shroud is made of plastic, so the feel is not as premium as some other models. The card has 5 RGB lighting zones, and you can do a lot of customization if that is what you are into. While this is a more budget-oriented card, it still comes with a backplate. It also does not perform as well as the more premium variants, but it is still a 4090. These are some of the best RTX 4090 graphics cards that you can buy right now. Like and subscribe for more content.